Welcome to another Activating Abundance episode of Not Your Average Lives. Today, I wanted to talk. I thought I would have a little fun conversation about why I'm glad I'm not 27 years old. And I don't know why this came to mind, except I think I look at my kids and where they are in life, and they had kids a little bit later than me. So they're kind of like where at their age I was when I was 27, with these little dependent souls running around underfoot. And so I thought I all these things were popping into my head about why I'm grateful I'm not 27, and that I am very happy that I'm 60, almost. Well, it's my birthday month. So I think age is coming like very top of mind because my birthday's coming up. So number one, okay? Number one is, and let's be real, no period. Isn't that the best thing ever? So if you still have your period, I am sorry, but when you don't, it is like so life changing because you don't have to plan your day around, do I have enough tampons? Do I where's the bathroom? Where's the closest bathroom? And oh my God, what if you like have an accident and you're over heavy that day? I mean, this might be a little like, you know, too much of a like real conversation, but it's the fact of life is that we have to deal with a period for the majority of our life. And my periods last a week. I was never the like 4-day period type of person. So, and sometimes like in my heavier days, like sometimes it would be longer. And it was very much a thing that I was happy to have not be a part of my life anymore. So, but I do remember when I would go to my mom's house and she didn't have her period anymore, and then I would need a tampon and they weren't in the cupboard. I promised myself I would always have tampons in my cupboards. So if anybody who still had their period and came to my house, they would have access to some of what they needed. So yeah, so that's number one. Number two is, and I think this was top of mind because saw somebody announce her pregnancy and she's all excited about it, right? And it's all the everything about, being nauseated and the reveal party and all those things. And I'm like, I am so glad I will never be pregnant again. I was pregnant twice and I loved being pregnant. I had very easy pregnancies and very quick deliveries. I had natural childbirth, but being pregnant is it's number one, hard on your body. It is. And it nowadays it's like, wow. I mean, before we were pregnant. And the other thing about being pregnant too, is nobody realizes how tired you are or how sick you feel. And so you kind of have to just be like normal. And so I just like the fact that, I don't have to worry about growing a baby anymore. And I don't have to worry about getting pregnant. There's no fear anymore about, oh my God, what if I get pregnant? So that's kind of in parallel with number one. But yeah, I look at like my experience with my puppy, Moji, and I'm like, that was hard. So having a puppy, you have to monitor and choose things and all that. The other day I looked at my floor and I was like, oh my God, it looks like we have a 2-year-old because there's toys everywhere. But they grow up more quickly and they're so much easier. You can put them in a crate to go at night and they sleep all night. You don't have to deal with that. I've been very lucky with puppies. My puppies they never cry. They cry like for the first 5 minutes and then they're done with it. So I've never had one of those puppies that like cries all night for a week. So puppies are so much easier than babies. And that's enough for me. I'll do puppies, but not babies. And I love being a grandmother because when you get grandmother, it's just temporary. There's an end to it and you can give them back and you can love on them and that's amazing, right? You don't have to like reprimand them. So number three, that the fact that I don't have little kids, because when I was 27, let me do the math. I had a 2-year-old and a 3.5-year-old. So I was working full time as well. And I can't imagine like what the parents today are going through with the pandemic and having to juggle their job and virtual learning and all that. Can you imagine if this happened before the internet? So like, what would people have done? I mean, I just think, oh my gosh, I have all day to myself. I don't have to worry. I can get my work done without being interrupted. I can get my work done without having to like manage somebody's homework and be their teacher and juggle another job. That is like overload for these poor moms who are juggling all this and a job. So that's number 3. I'm so thankful that I'm not having to manage a household with little kids in this whole pandemic, and even older kids, because, when I think about it, I loved my having teenagers. I loved my girls. They were very involved in school and activities and sports. And I can't imagine the disappointment that you'd have to deal with where they wouldn't be able to go to their events, or they wouldn't be able to play the sports that they love, or they wouldn't be able to go to the prom, or they wouldn't be able to go to graduation, or they got sent home from their first year of college. They miss a whole freshman year or senior year. So yeah, so having kids, and I'm glad my grandkids are younger, so they're not having to have all these disappointments. But as a parent, that would be really difficult. So I'm glad that I'm not 27 anymore, because I don't have to, like, that's just something that would be hard. That's something that would make me sad. So number 4, that I don't have a corporate job anymore, because when I was 27 years old, I was working in for a consulting firm right outside of the Washington, DC area. And I had to go in early. I had to, I was there all day. It was like no flexibility and no mobile phone to touch base with anybody. And so no flexibility. And I also became so stressed that I got chronic fatigue syndrome. I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome, and I had to go part-time for a little while because I couldn't function for a whole day. So the fact that, when I was 27, I was very, very stressed in this very structured environment that I had zero flexibility with. And, we all have choices, and maybe I could have changed jobs, but, I didn't, and I stayed in that. And what I know now is, maybe I should have changed a job. If I'm coming down with an autoimmune disease, maybe there's something about the job that is causing my health issue. So I am so glad that I'm not in that structured, rigid, regimented, and really kind of draining place. I got mono, which led to the chronic fatigue. It was the 3rd time I got mono. So yeah, so it was not fun. 27 years old was not fun. And then, and so now I have my own flexibility. So like if I had to choose, 27 years old and chronic fatigue syndrome and a stressful job that you had no flexibility in, or 62 and super flexible, work my own hours, get to do what I want to do, can go anywhere at any time, as long as I plan it in my schedule. So, I do have appointments, but I can pick and choose. Right. And so, one of the things, my husband and I are doing, we're going to Florida, and we're going to be there for 3 weeks. We're staying in an Airbnb, and to be able to like, just get up and go, I wouldn't have never have been able to do that when I was 27. Plus I wouldn't have had the flexibility because I had also young kids to do that. So probably more flexible if they're younger because they're not in school yet. But yes, didn't have those real options at 27. So that's number 4. So number 5, oh my gosh, working from home. So this kind of ties into 4, but like, remember when you'd have to like go, and we couldn't like call in to the office because there was no computers. So I remember when I was 27, like desktop computers were just coming out, and certainly not laptops, certainly not iPads, and certainly not all the gadgets that you can access with, your work. And so I love the fact that now I can work from home. I love the fact that also my kids can work from home. So, but when I was 27, no, that was not an option. So if you were, you didn't feel well enough to go to work, but you felt well enough that you could do a little bit of work. So And you would, instead of getting way behind, you could like log in and do a little bit. And now with the pandemic has made that whole work from home so much easier, I think too. So, but again, I don't know what we would have done back in because this is in the 80s. I don't know what we would have done in the 80s if we had a pandemic and everybody had to, adjust. And how would we have gotten work done? How would we have operated? It's crazy. So when you think about it, it's almost like, are we having this pandemic because the world is better prepared for it? I don't know. Makes one wonder. So number 6 is wisdom. So wisdom and wisdom goes deep in my view. So, we don't have the wisdom. You have to live a long time to gain some wisdom. I mean, there's some people that kind of come out of the birth canal, wise old souls, but I wasn't one of those. And I had to go through the school of hard knocks and figure things out. And so I gained, I'm so grateful for being where I am now and not when I was 27, when I didn't have the tools that I now know to help me and to navigate better. When I was 27, I would get like angry real easy. I would pass judgment really easy. I would go to the place in my head of lack more quickly. I didn't know anything about gratitude really. I think I always was a glasses half full person, which helped me. It was better than being the glasses half empty kind of negative person. Cause I had a great mom in terms of she always was like, the glass is half full. She would always like make lemonade out of lemons. She had that attitude. So that rubbed off on me, but still I was not at the place where I am now, where I've learned so much about how our thoughts control everything. And I wasn't aware of what my thoughts were doing to me. And so when I started to learn that, and now where I am compared to where I was at 27, I would never want to go back to where I was at 27. The only way I would go back there, and I probably wouldn't because the whole period thing, but would be, yeah, if I had the awareness of my thoughts and I could change that life and change the life for my kids, that I, would have been a better mom in that respect. And number 7 is kind of a twofold, I guess. So, what came up for me when I was thinking about this episode, I was like, school. Oh my gosh. When I was 27, my only options were, you have to go to a classroom. You have to go park. It's the process of learning. Well, granted, you could go to the library and get a book, but there wasn't online learning. There wasn't the internet. And so I was just like, thinking about, oh my gosh, if I went back to 27, I wouldn't have all the tools available for me that I have now with online learning. Online learning is such a vast, it can help us so much. I mean, we tend to, and I'm guilty of this too, is when we turn on the TV, we turn on, the latest hot series like Yellowstone, right? But there's so many documentaries. There's so many places. There's these apps that have all these things that you can learn about what interests you, and YouTube, and you can get on YouTube and you can search whatever interests you, and you can do all these things. I was thinking about workouts. Like, we used to have to go to the gym when I was 27, and the step was a big thing then. So we'd go to the gym and do these steps, but no real options except what was at the gym and what was on the list of the classes that you could take. Not flexibility at all. Now you can go on the internet, you can do like so many different and free. You don't even have to leave your house to exercise. So you can stay in your basement and you can just Google whatever and you can go and access it. So kind of, similar to school, because, in terms of workouts, you're learning how to get your body in better shape. Right. So we're talking about school, right? And learning and the internet. So this number 7 is really about the internet in all of the things, right? So you can use it to expand your knowledge and to learn, but you could also use it to keep in touch with people. Do you remember when I was 27, it was like the old phone that had the curly thing that attached to the wall. So that was the only way we could keep in touch with people. And we had to pay money to call long distance. If we were out of our area code, remember that? We couldn't call anybody without it cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Now we can call anybody and it doesn't cost anything, right? And so I can, call my aunt who's in Florida or Massachusetts, depending on what time of year it is. Yeah. And I can reach my students as well. So super easy to connect with people and doesn't cost a thing other than what you're paying for your phone, which is, no different than what it was then. Maybe the cost is a little bit more because of inflation or where the cost of things going up over the 40 years of whatever. But yeah, and so I love the fact that you can find people as well using the internet, because I would not be with my husband if I hadn't found him on the internet. If I didn't have a computer and there wasn't Google that I could like Google his name, because that's actually how we reconnected. So school connections and like finding partners, because there's also online dating. And I know a lot of people who have met their significant others through online dating. So the internet, like that didn't exist when I was 27. Yeah. So these are all 7 reasons with multiple reasons packed into each one of why I'm happy that I'm no longer 27 years old. I'd love for you to think about it. Think about where you were when you were 27 years old, or where you were at what age when you had little kids, and see if, some of these reasons apply to you, or what else comes up for you. So I hope you enjoyed this more fun episode. It's not as heavy as some of the teaching stuff that I've done recently, but yeah, I thought, as I head into my birthday month, why am I grateful that I'm this age? What are the things I'm grateful for? And so that puts me into such an abundant mindset when I'm approaching, another year. And I think, that's one thing that I have now, the wisdom to look at it from that perspective than I did when I was 27. So thanks for being here, and I'll catch you next time. Thank you so much for tuning into the Not Your Average Lives podcast. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe on iTunes if you have an Apple device. You can find free resources and learn what else I have going on at the moment that might interest you on my website at notyouraverage.grandma.com. You can also find me on Instagram or Facebook at Not Your Average Grandma. If you liked this episode, it would make my heart so happy if you could leave me a 5-star rating. You can also add a review to let me know what you like about this podcast, which will help spread the word about it to others who need a little midlife inspiration. As always, be you, listen to your inner voice, and focus on reigniting that lost spark so you can start living your own Not Your Average life.